Hi everyone, Robin Shea here. It's day 20 before the fork, the 28-day experience. And this is day 1 of phase 3. So I hope y'all have had a super fantastic first day of the reflective process of transformation. And speaking of reflection, I have what I think is going to be a really good story for all of you. And today I spent some time on the phone with a very old friend, and we were going over the creating your desired story, your desired self story. And I'm just working on different ways to articulate that process to everyone, because when it happened to me, hi Julie, thank you for joining. When my desired self story, it was revealed to me very mystically, very ordained, and God just, he breathed life through me, and in a moment my desired self story materialized. Hi Kim. However, in that chapter in the book, chapter 6, where we're going over creating, hi Tammy, your desired self story, I take you through an exercise to help you get in contact with that creative part that was just more or less organically bestowed upon me when I released all resistance in that moment, right there in that hallway that we've talked about so many times. So through my conversation with my girlfriend today, I had kind of an epiphany. And I've never joined these two elements together before. So my husband's driving up the driveway. So I've never joined these two elements together before, but it was just kind of one of those moments that I was like, oh, this is a story they need to know. Okay. So this is my desired story before it was created in my creative mind. So this is my desired story pre-revelation, pre-surrender, preordained ministry through God's will for my life. So, quick story. Back in college, I was always a very protective big sister. When I looked at my younger siblings, my younger sister, my younger brothers, I was always extremely protective over them. If they did anything wrong or I felt that they could get hurt, man, I beelined right to my parents. Not out of wanting to one up or wanting to be the halo child, but because I was truly scared if anything were to ever happen to them, because I loved them so much. It's almost like I loved them so much it was too painful to even play with the idea that anything could ever happen to them. So I would beeline to my parents if I thought that they were in danger or they were endangering themselves. So I'm away at college my first year, and I wasn't feeling well. And I came home, I went to the doctor at school, and the doctor he took some cultures, and it was a throat thing, and I was just lethargic. And I remember the doctor saying something about, well, there's a lot of outbreak of meningitis right now. Well, of course, my mind was just a fertile ground for imagination. And at this phase in my life, my imagination ran rampant in the very negative side. So when he said meningitis, it totally freaked me out. I got in my car, drove all the way to my mom's house, 4 hours away, walked in the back door, saw her face, melted, started bawling. I was scared to death, and ended up sleeping with my parents in their bed for weeks because I was so terrified that something was going to happen. So, that was just kind of an undercurrent of my emotions from my young life. Very fearful of loss of one of my sisters or brothers, loss of my own life, loss of my parents. I couldn't even wrap my mind around loss. Okay. So when I started having my own children, I was hypersensitive to their well-being and their care, because the idea of something happening to them completely shut me down. I just did not have the coping skills to work through that in my mind. So now flash forward. That was Robin pre-revelation. So now let's flash forward to 15 years ago in this hall when I completely surrendered. And now all of that energy that I spent being fearful of death, fearful of afterlife, in an instant of surrender, all of that switched to gratitude for life. Gratitude for every opportunity to do better, be better, love more, appreciate more. And that right there, both are centered around life. Both are centered around the quality of life and living life. One was fear-based and one was creative-based. And I really hope that small story of how the shift in perspective can shift everything. And I remember shortly after having my revelation, having that moment of, absolutely, Tammy, you can never take anything for granted, but you also can't live in fear of it being taken away from you. And that's the defining line. Are you living in fear, which is how I did it for so many years, this fear-based holding on to something so tight that you're suffocating it, which is how I lived out of fear, versus so appreciative to even have it for whatever time that ultimately ends up being. So the revelation that I had, the moment, the release of resistance and the appreciation for life, that shift in paradigm from a fear-based mentality to a creation-based mentality, completely took my life, hi Margie, on a completely different trajectory. It took me down new roads. And I remember I was getting ready to say a moment ago, I remember when a friend lost a child many, many years ago. Well, not as long as 15 years ago, so it was after my revelation. And I remember thinking to myself, of course, riddled with grief for her and her family, and of course the loss of the beautiful child. But I remember thinking, should that ever happen in my life, my prayer would be that God would ordain me with the skills to navigate it and then to use it as a blessing. What a shift. What a shift that was from this young woman that was even afraid to let her siblings realize their own lives, because I was so afraid something was going to happen to them, to shifting over here to having, thinking, whatever life deals me, I'm going to make the best of it. I'm going to move into it with grace and with glory and with God, and knowing that He's never going to give me anything that I cannot handle. And my prayer being that whatever that should be, that I deal with it with grace and I use it to bless others. So there's still many, many clubs that I pray I'm never a part of. We all know those clubs. We all know the unification of beautiful souls that have had trials that it would never be our wish to wish those upon ourselves. But that shift in thinking is what allows those individuals to survive those moments in time and to triumph in those, become triumphant in those moments of time, and then use that situation to start blessing others. So studying reading in chapter 6 today was so very helpful to me. We're moving into phase 3. This is day 1 of phase 3, where we start to be reflective and we start to look at the tools that we've developed and analyze if they're working and if they're not working. And your desired self story is going to be part of that expansion. It's going to be part of that process. If it's weak, if chapter 6 didn't help you tap into the strength to lean into your discomfort, go back and revisit chapter 6. Go back and look at it through a fresh set of eyes. Know that the energy that's found in that desired self story is the energy that you're going to need to make this transformation process more meaningful in your life. Now, I was fortunate that mine was almost a quantum leap. So it was almost a metaphysical experience. But I truly don't believe that it has to be that profound in order for you to create it. So hopefully the tools in chapter 6 will help you solidify and expand on your idea of your desired self so that it has all the potency and all the energy that you're going to need to create the new habits, to lean into the new habits, and to trust that vision that you've created. Pray on that tonight. When you go to bed tonight, when you lay your head down, pray that your eyes and your heart are opened to a much more vivid picture than you could ever paint through your own words. And hopefully God will answer that prayer and lay it on your heart, and you will see it as crystal clear as I do. Now, one more point on your desired self story. You can have so many desired self stories based on the different areas of your life. So don't lock yourself into one vision. You can have desired self stories for your finances, for your relationships, for your home, for your fitness, for your health, for your not only your spousal relationships, but your relationships with your children, with your in-laws. You can take your desired self story in a multitude of different directions. Right now, obviously, we're focusing on our health and our fitness. But that may not be what crystallizes for you. There may be another area of your life that crystallizes that the happiness ladder work will benefit, the journaling work will benefit. So although this is all about your nutrition and your fitness, if something else is weighing on you, go there and explore it and let that crystallize, and it may open doors to other areas for desired self stories to start being built. So I love you all. Live with your whole heart. Thank you for joining me tonight. And I'll be back with you for day 2 of phase 3 or day 21 of Before the Fork, the 28-day experience. Y'all have a great night and be blessed and be a blessing. Talk to you soon. Bye.